Thank you, Peter, and thanks for the opportunity to spend a few minutes just giving you an outline of the project, where we would also like to recruit farmers using the Beacon Farm application process. So as Peter has said, the project that I want to talk about is known as HUBS, which stands for Hills and Uplands for Beef and Sheep. So this project is all about looking at the synergies and the trade-offs that exist between production and the many other ecosystem services that beef and sheep farming in the hills and uplands of Northern Ireland can provide. So at the minute, we are currently in the first phase of this project, and this is really a scoping exercise to review the literature and see where the gaps in the knowledge are. So I mentioned the ecosystem services that hills and uplands can provide, and we're interested in food production, in carbon sequestration and storage, improving water quality, entering the water courses, mitigating risk of flooding and wildfires, and managing habitats to improve biodiversity. And we also want to highlight and improve the cultural role that beef and sheep farming in the hills and uplands provides. In fact, I was in a meeting this morning and I was asked to define culture as it's one of those things that can mean a whole lot of different things in a political context in Northern Ireland. So just to be very clear, what I mean by cultural ecosystem services are things like recreation, so hill walking and the impact of green space on both physical and mental well-being. And I think that's something that has really come to the fore during this pandemic for the general public. And then there's a very important piece in there also on the mental well-being of the farmer themselves and the factors in play there. There are other cultural ecosystem services found in the hills and uplands, such as heritage sites and tourism. But what I wanted to visualize in the next slide is that one of the really basic principles of this project is that we don't look at the ecosystem services in isolation from each other, but rather it's how important it is that we look at them holistically. So phase 1 of this project will go on until May 2021. And we currently now are at the stage where we want to recruit farmers throughout Northern Ireland who would be interested in being co-researchers with us in phase 2. So phase 2 will be the experimental stage of the project. So in order to do this, we want to work closely with our colleagues at Caffrey using the Glenwherry Hill Farm, but we also would like to recruit 5 farms based throughout Northern Ireland, as we're very conscious there will be a range of farm types and systems. So these farms could be sheep only, cattle only, or cattle and sheep. And it is likely that we may do things slightly differently on different farms, but there certainly will be a focus on net carbon emissions, biodiversity and water quality. So the questions in the Beacon Farm application are very relevant to the recruitment of these co-researchers too. So it seemed to make sense that we would piggyback into that system. So I'm going to hand you back to Peter, but if anybody wants any, obviously I'm happy to answer questions tonight, but if you go away and you have other points of clarification, you have my details, my email address and my phone number there, so I'm very happy if anybody wants any points of clarification on down the line.